Alright guys, so welcome to Arcane Duels. So there's a pretty fun league going on called the League of Extraordinary Mage Wars Players, and I got the privilege of joining this game, and so myself, Coshade, I'm going to be playing Juli? I think it's pronounced Juli. It could be July. I see it as July or Juli. It's one of those two. Regardless, this was a pretty fun match, and since this is not live, I'm gonna skip past a lot of the planning phases and stuff, so we can just kind of see the main action of this game. Basically, it's between a druid and a water wizard, and this game was actually a really interesting. Sorry, I won't skip around too much, but this game was a really interesting game because I guess I've been using the druid a lot, mainly as an animal focus, and I actually don't play against a lot of wizards, so it was kind of a good opportunity for me to, pardon me guys, for me to really see, what I need to change about the book to see it happening. That being said, did not play badly, so won't give away what happens in the end, but there is a lot of really cool stuff. So basically, my focus is going to be on animals here, and I'm going to be speaking mainly from my perspective, mainly because you can see only my cards and not his cards at all. And of course, the water wizard being, water or earth wizard is generally considered the strongest of the wizards because you use dissolve a lot, and you can get it at cost if you're a water wizard. And earth, of course, there's a lot of cool little tactics you can do. The other two are pretty good, but I would say water's probably the most used that I've seen anyway. So we're going on to the main first quick cast here, and it is my initiative, and I did choose to pass it. This was probably a mistake against a wizard, just because that Gate of Altari is worth a whole mana. If I would have just cast this turn 1. And there's kind of a general rule that if you know what you're going to be doing and you're not going to really deviate, just do it. I was a little afraid of him doing the double move Wizard's Tower, but honestly I shouldn't have been as a druid. And I think in the future games I'm going to have to look at that as a realistic thing. So I start with the Vine Tree, transfer my action marker there. The Vine Tree, Tree Bond with the Mana Flower. This is a pretty standard druid opening. I really shouldn't have been afraid of a rush because I know, I'm just going to call him July. July, you can totally correct me if I get this wrong in future videos. I know he's not usually a guy that plays very rush builds. Juli's he's been playing like 2 years longer than I have, and he's very good at this game. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the next phase, and let's just skip past the planning here. It looks like July is going to reveal a Harmonize on the gate. That gives it 4 mana. That's enough so that he can start summoning those creatures. I think it's 3, and basically I have a lot of deliberation here. I try to go with a lot of options because since a druid is of course nature. Nature has so many cards to pick from, especially with the Beastmaster Academy out, that you can really find the exact thing you need. What I've been doing standard with this more animal druid is I basically like to start with a Tegu, and I like to Cheetah Strength or Badger Frenzy depending on how close the enemy's going to get. But the idea is that if I can get a Rot or 2 early, that will either give me a huge advantage later on because it's 1 or 2 damage to stacks, or to force them to do things like Regrowth Belt or Wand of Healing to get rid of, or Purify, to get rid of those rots. And that gives me an extra action advantage to sort of get the lead. If they choose to do Wand of Healing or a Belt, I just dissolve it, and that allows me to start that whole dissolve game where you're running out of options. I do have Burst of Thorns in there and a Mage Wand, just in case they... I suspect that they run out of some sort of ways of healing that I can just keep stacking on direct damage. But mainly it's focused on the Tegu opening leading into the more high-powered things like Timberwolves, Raptor Vines, and Vine Snappers. And then to supplement it, I do the Lotuses and the Orchids. So you can see here the Tegu is getting summoned. And by the way, Blue Gremlin was cast. Blue Gremlins, they used to be considered, if I remember it, like the best creatures in the game. And I love the Blue Gremlin. I use it in all my wizard decks. And they are just really solid little guys. So I respond with a Tegu and another Mana Flower, just kind of building up more mana. I'm basically channeling one more than he is, but he has the Harmonize, so it kind of evens out, and then the mana gain from me casting spells. Gate of Altar was a big deal for me, in that it really caused Juli to get a nice mana lead. Gremlins, the reason why they're so annoying is because that 1 armor and 7 health is very tough to deal with when they have a defense. You know, if your guy is rolling 4 or 5 dice and they get that defense and the other guy rolls 3, it can take some time. And using things like Hurl Rocks is not super efficient to kill Gremlins. So anyway, I'm going to skip past a little bit here. Let's see if we can just get this planning phase done with. Of course, Juli knows exactly what he's doing, and I don't really face a lot of wizards, so I have a lot of thoughts that's going on. One of the big things I'm fearing here is I'm always feeling a wizard's tower, and right now I don't really have a position to take it out. Excuse me. So pretty much the way that I want to deal with Wizard's Tower is usually going to be a Corrosive Orchid with a Bear Strength, and then if I can, get Vine Snappers. And those combinations can just sort of, you know, topple on itself. I guess Vine Snapper, Rouse the Beast, Orchid would be a really cool combo, just to kind of deal some damage out there. Moving on to first quick cast, Juli summons the Gorgon. And Gorgons are insanely good arcane creatures, just creatures in general. I love the Gorgon Archer. I've seen it used in Necromancer books. I've seen it used in just all sorts of books, really, actually. And the reason why they're so good is a range 2 4-dice attack is a very solid thing. I mean, think about, you know, like, it's like a weak Hurl Boulder or a stronger Hurl Rock, in the sense that it's range 2, I guess. But the fact that you can cause the weak means that any melee guys are going to just kind of not be able to kill you. And like the innate ability for a Gorgon to survive is really good because it has the regeneration and the very high health. It is a solid little archer. And if you haven't tried running it, run it. So the only way to deal with the Gorgon is to burst it down, or you're too weak to actually kill anything. It's a fun little bait card. So anyway, I'm being very cautious with the Tegu. And I cast a Timberwolf. These guys are advancing to like enchanting himself. And right now I'm thinking I need to get that rot on the enemy mage. I'm afraid of doing it on the gremlin, because if it misses, I feel like I would have wasted the opportunity to get that rot. Not sure if that's correct or not, but it's what my thought was. And we're going to move on to round 4. Let's just skip past a little bit here. Again, we don't need a... Thorns is always a good option of just dealing massive damage. If you can get a Wall of Thorns off, you can usually attack spell them to death. Usually. That's assuming they have no armor and no way of countering it. Juli Force Push won't work. And I don't really like to rely on Surging Wave to Force Push, or to push someone through. So let's just skip. So basically what we're looking at right now is I don't want to cast anything until out of my Vine Tree until I know it's a good opportunity. And the reason why I'm deploying a Vine Snapper now is if I can tank a bunch of blows by spending 7 mana, that allows my Tegu to sort of guarantee that rot more. If I do get some damage out of it, that's really nice as well. Defenses for me always scare me, and because just missing 5 dice or 4 dice can really add up. And that's why I always like taking Surging Waves or Knockdowns. And it looks like another blue gremlin is going to come out of Juli. By the way, I'm not sure if I can fix the screen issue. Sorry about that, guys. But I will do my best to commentate. Hey, it's my desktop down there. Woo. And it looks like the Gorgon is immediately going to just attack the Vine Snapper, deal 4 damage, and get a weak. And, you know, not having any armor as a plant, it's brutal. And it looks like the Hand of Bibshal is going to go down. And he's going to give armor to the Mage. So right now what I'm thinking is, alright, you're going to armor up your Mage. I can still rot him. My Vine Snapper's weak. He does have Piercing 1, so it's going to be 4 dice Piercing 1 against this Gremlin. Let's see, do I choose to actually attack him? Yes, I do. So I guess what I'm thinking is, if I can just team up against this Gremlin and take it out, that would be really advantageous. And he chooses not to dodge, so I deal 4 damage, which is actually pretty good. Yeah, let's just redo this whole little phase here. Okay, so basically what happened is the Vine Snapper attacked the Wizard's Guard, and the Wizard basically counterattacked and dealt, with a punch, 5 damage. And I always say this, if you're a Wizard, try punching out, because you'll seem to always do really well. So, after attacking the Wizard, that allows the Guard to go away, so my Tigu's going to walk in there, and, you know, just sort of do some chomping. I don't know if I should have gone after the Gremlin or not. But regardless, I only got 2 damage, and I didn't even get a rot. And so that, for me, is concerning. Because if I don't get that rot after, I'd say, like, 3 or 4 hits, then I really start thinking, oh, man, how am I going to catch up from this? Not that the whole strategy is based on rot. It's just a very cool little thing to try and get advantage of. I mean, he still did deal 2 damage. That's not bad. Yeah, it's not. And it looks like the Wizard's just going to try to just punch that Vine Snapper to death, which I don't blame him. So basically, I mean, he took a shot from the Gorgon, and managed to deal with the Guard, and then managed to deal with another punch. So, is that worth 7 mana? I don't think so, but I still think it wasn't like frickin' terrible. The cheetah speed on the Timberwolf is just so I can get more damage in. What I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to burst some damage through, and I think this is kind of where I failed at, is that I really should have, probably with a Surging Wave or something like that. I think focusing on the Wizard may have been my ultimate downfall. I think Surging Waves and just really trying to kill that Gremlin would have been better. Like, Surging Wave, Vine Snapper hit the Gremlin, and then Tigu hit. Okay, so basically I see Juli. He activates the Voltaic Shield, and for planning phase, I'm really starting to think I probably shouldn't focus on this Wizard, because I tend to like to take out all the creatures first, and then make the Mage squishy, and then kill him. Because there doesn't allow... Because if I do that, there isn't a lot of room for variance, and if your dice are going to matter or not, because I don't like to rely, really, on the gambling perspective of this. I prefer to just, like, mitigate their damage, and then destroy them with the remaining damage I have. And Juli is totally trying to do the same thing to me, and that's what's making a really interesting game here. So I really want to kill this Gorgon. I mean, I have a Tigu and a Timberwolf, and then this Corrosive Orchid, so I can start stacking out a lot of damage, and I'm not going to guarantee any sort of kill here, but if I can deal a lot of damage now, and then kill him next round, I'll feel pretty happy about that. There is an okay chance, I guess, that I could kill him, but, so the Corrosive Orchid attacks. It deals 1 damage and Corrode, which is perfect. Basically, if that Corrode turns into if 2 more attacks hit, it turns into 2 more damage, etc. So Corrode is sort of looked at in my eyes as like extra damage put on later than right now. That's why I use it against high armor targets. Or high health, high armor targets. And unsurprisingly, the Gorgon is going to target the Timberwolf. This is a smart move. He gets 2 weeks against Timberwolf, which is really good, actually. Because basically my Timberwolf is only rolling 2 dice now. And in a lot of ways, my Timberwolf is kind of useless. I mean, it can still tank, but its damage potential is just cut in half, which is not a good investment for me anymore. And this is, I think, the reason why Gorgon is so strong. So I reveal a Badger Frenzy on my Tigu because I want to get the double rot, plus the 6 dice total for probably 6 damage is going to be very good. By the way, 3 damage against Tigu with a Gremlin attack, that's pretty dang good. So the Tigu bites. I mean, he does 2 damage, and he gets the rot, and then the other bite was 5 damage, no rot, or the other way around. But regardless, so, you know, I got 7 damage out of the 6 dice, and a rot out of it, so that felt pretty good in terms of how I wanted to go. So the reason, the druid that I'm going for here, this Corrosive Orchid, I want the fight to stay in this zone. Like, anything I do will be having this zone protected here. And I'll start, like, probably putting all my creatures here. And Juli brings out the Gorgon, or Gargoyle, by the way. This is a great choice, especially when you want to guard Wizard's Towers. Because the Gorgon, he might just be considered dead at this point, but a Wizard's Tower going down would really mess me up a lot. The Wizard's Tower, and the Wizard's here, the Whip here, down here. So the Gremlin's going to move in, and one of them deals 2 damage, which is really good against the 3 armor with piercing 1. And the other one rolls just 2, and the armor just kind of swafts it off. Is going to move in, and then he is going to... Okay, so he's going to punch him. I mean, I have 3 armor, so I'm not too worried about it. He does get a 2 critical, though, which is really good. It's, like, really what he needs. Basically, if you look at Emerald Tigus, they're kind of like zombies in a weird way, where you have to hope on those crits in order to get the damage through. Unless you're, like, a bear or something. And this board right now is really scary for me. I don't exactly know how I want to recover from this, because basically now he has a ton of little bits of damage, and these little swarm damage bits can get crits, which is exactly what he needs to kill what I have. The advantage of having a Tigu is because of that 3 armor. These gremlins will statistically get 1 damage because they have piercing 1. So if I can heal the Tigu, maybe he can survive a little bit longer to get some more rots out. The Gorgon Archer's at 8 damage and 1 rot, and 1 corrode. I want to make sure that this guy can be, you know, eliminated, because if he gets another shot off, it's just so unfortunate. So let's just go ahead. Looks like I fixed the screen at this point. Let's go ahead and skip past this part, skip past this part. Moving on to planning. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like I have a lot of considerations going on here. So basically, after upkeep, he's at 7 damage because of the rot. Killing this Gorgon with the Hurl Rock is probably not going to happen. And hurling a boulder seems like too much of an investment. So this is exactly why Gorgon Archers are so good, because I need to take care of him. If I don't kill this Gorgon Archer, and it recovers, it's going to be game. And like arguably, it's already caused me to get myself into a disadvantageous position. And I'm looking to see how much it costs to remove weak because I have a Purify. It is 2 dice, so spending 4 mana for 2 dice isn't actually that bad of an investment. But, I mean, the Timberwolf's at 3 damage and 2 corrode, so it's questionable what I need to do. I've considered Lotusing a Gremlin, because that's basically putting it to sleep. And then I also have a Lotus there for more damage in the future. And there's a lot of deliberation. I'll skip ahead a little bit so we don't have to, spend time watching this. But basically what I end up doing is I place a Vine here, and then I cast a Nightshade Lotus in the zone. And this is my power zone right now. I can burst things out with both of these guys before an action phase, and then attack it with something else. And this is kind of the epitome of what I'm trying to go for, is just that 1 or 2 rounds where I can get a ton of damage through, and then it's sort of, and then I either snowball the advantage up with more creatures, or they fail to do damage, and I repeat it again with more corrosive orchids and lotuses. So I'm going to cast a minor heal on my Tigu, because it is worth it to heal, and he manages to get 7 damage, which is really nice. And he's just tanking a lot of stuff right now. And so the Tigu's back at full health, which is not an easy thing to bring it back up through the damage. Arguably, I should have considered also a Gator Toughness in the earlier game, but maybe I should have waited to attack a little bit more, because I had another Timberwolf as well. But regardless, it was a good heal. And it is going to be July's initiative, so I'm curious to see what he's actually going to do during the action phase. Let's just see here. Because basically, he can try to kill these plants. If he kills one, that's a good amount of damage gone. If he doesn't, this Gorgon has 0 armor, so I can sort of deal, 5 damage plus a possibility of corrode. It's pretty good. And July says he's thinking. I don't blame him. You could bring the Gargoyle Sentry down and guard, and if he chooses to do that, I would have to consider how I'm going to break that. Because I guess if they can intercept the attack, so yeah. I guess I'd have to consider like putting it to sleep with the Nightshade, although I don't really have the mana. That's kind of where I'm really struggling here, I think. So the Gremlin's going to choose to attack the Lotus. It's going to be 3 dice. He has 7 health total, so I'm not too worried about him dying. He only rolls, oh, I'm sorry, he gave him melee +1, so he rolled 4 dice, only got 2 damage, so a little unfortunate there. I know with clerics, that disappoint roll happens. So this is my opportunity to basically do a lot of bursts. Like Wizard's Towers are very good, and Ballistas are good because they can act before or after from the creature actions. There's no reason to look at these flowers any differently. They're just very good, bursty damage kind of things. So here's 2 dice and possibility of corrode. And it's going to deal 1 damage. A little unfortunate. That makes me have to consider how I'm going to kill it now. But I'm pretty sure I use the Lotus next. Ah, no, okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to attack with Timberwolf first. Just to see how much damage difference there is. And I don't think I even had a chance. I don't actually know why I chose to attack with Timberwolf, to be honest. That's kind of an odd move. But regardless, the I mean, he dealt 3 damage with 2 dice. That's pretty good. And the Gorgon's at 11, and the Lotus just kind of finish it off, dealing the exact amount of damage I need. And that's how you kill a Gorgon. Although my board, let's see, there's 2 Gremlins and a 3rd one up here and a Gargoyle versus a Timberwolf that's weak, a Tigu, and 2 Orchids. He has a lot of attacks left, whereas I only have 2 attacks left. So basically, if he can burst down the Orchids, that's a pretty decent loss for me. Because, you know, the Locust and the Orchid are pretty expensive mana-wise. And the Gargoyle's going to attack and he deals 4 damage off 3 days. It's pretty good. He's definitely going to be able to kill that Lotus this round. And I'm thinking with my Tegu, alright, what can I rot? Like, what would be the best? And I don't want the rot to get wasted. Sorry about the screen, by the way, guys. And I don't want the rot to get wasted with a dodge from a blue gremlin. So that's why I chose to attack the Mage. Arguably, I could have attacked the Gargoyle. But, you know, if I can get that rot, I will feel like I've gotten something accomplished with a later game scenario. Wow. It looks like just a bunch of stuff was happening. My computer went crazy. So the Tegu does attack. He does 5 damage, which is really dang good for Tegu. And of course, since Voltaic Shield wasn't activated, then cool. And July's looking at 12 damage now. That's actually pretty good. And I do think he has a Brace Yourself at this point. And there's the Wizard doing the punch kill. And always punch the Wizard, man. It is so good. And the Lotus goes down. And so now what I'm thinking is, okay, what do I attack next? And I think what I should have probably done is guarded with my Mage. But I think I punched something, didn't I? And I think this move is a big deal, if I remember right. Yeah, I chose to punch the Wizard. I think at this point I haven't decided if I want to focus on the Wizard to kill him or not. Wizards in particular are very hard to focus fire down. I mean, I deal 5 damage with 3 dice, so it's a really good punch. And I think he has a Brace Yourself? Oh yeah, I was thinking, does he have a Brace Yourself here? He does. Okay, so reveals a Brace Yourself. He only takes 1 damage then, but I got rid of the Brace Yourself for future attacks. And I think that was a good move by July. I think if going up to 17 damage, it's a lot rough. It's a lot more rough to deal with when you're at 17 than just 13. Because you always have to fear the hurl rocks, the surging waves into the walls, you know, stuff like that. And of course, boulders. Probably the biggest thing is wall thorns if you're facing a druid. So the blue gremlin's going to attack the Orchid, and this is a smart move. If you kill the plants, they're very expensive mana investments, and they don't actually have a lot of health. And statistically, you know, he won't kill it right now, because he rolled 3 dice and no 3 dice. But, you know, the dice are crazy. The dice are actually crazy this whole game. Like, everyone is rolling really high. And then he kills the Orchid. And that's a big blow for me. You know, I got 2 attacks off with the Orchid, so I would say it wasn't necessarily a bad investment. It's just a little unfortunate to see it die. So you heard me mention the board earlier. So basically what I'm looking at right now is I just lost 2 of my pieces, where he still has all 3 of his gremlins and gargoyle. And so I need to consider either taking out these gremlins or focusing on the wizard. That's really my big deliberation this round. He's at 13 damage. Wizards can mitigate a ton of damage very easily, so this is not an easy choice for me. And of course, this Gargoyle Sentry isn't going to make things easier to focus on the wizard as well. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit, get past all this stuff. Yeah, I think we're just waiting on upkeep. The server's been a little laggy lately on Octagon. And hey, we're back with this thing. Lovely. Sorry about that, guys. So basically what I'm thinking is, do I want to control this zone more? What should I try to take out? I don't think going after the Gate of Volturi was the correct choice. Just because he has so many creatures, he's just going to focus down my threats while I try to focus down his potential future threat. Like the whole fight needs to happen here right now. And these plants not having any armor, it does hurt. So I cast a Vine Snapper, and he chooses to cast nothing out of his gate. He did attach something, so that lets me know he has another arcane creature, though, which is scary and not scary at the same time. And right now I'm feeling like I'm behind. Just because he has a lot more creatures that can activate right now, and he has more mana as well. I choose to go after the wizard, because I think what I'm trying to do here is basically say, I want to kill your wizard right now. And if I can take out your regrowth with rots, that allows me to get more damage out that you can't get rid of. And of course I roll 3 critical damage, but the Voltaic Shield absorbs it all. One of the unfortunate things about trying to focus down a wizard without taking care of their creatures is you really can't deal with the Voltaic Shield well. And I feel like this Tigu would have been better attacking a gremlin. I think. Yeah, it was a rough game. I think surging waving on a gremlin and then choosing to just focus on the gremlin rather than committing to the mage was ultimately my biggest mistake. I mean, there is a big rule here about, kill the other creatures if that's what you're going for. That's really what I should have done. The gargoyle moving to the right and guarding is scary because now he has a defensive perimeter that my plant can't reach unless I teleport. And he chooses to cast the Wizard's Tower, which is just more DPS for him. And I think this is starting to see the Wizard just kind of get out of control with power here, because I really can't get the damage I need to kill the Wizard, and he's just using that to secure his advantage. Like, I definitely see a tipping point towards July this round. And he's going to choose, or I'm going to choose to disperse his regrowth because I don't want him to recover. And the Wizard's Tower is going to roll an Acid Ball against a Tigu, and he's going to get the 2 Corrode he needs. And this is a solid way to kill a Tigu. Just Acid Ball it, and then get your creatures in. I am kind of surprised that heal worked so well, because that allowed that Tigu to really live longer. So I'm just kind of like, alright. I mean, if he did die right now, I don't think it was a bad investment. But as gremlins, you're really seeing them pay off right now, in the sense that this one just dealt 3 damage, and you're just going to see a bunch of other guys just sort of whittle him down to nothing. So basically what's happening now is my Timberwolf is trying to do what he can to to take out these gremlins, because I'm not going to be able to kill the wizard here. So I try to go after a gremlin, the gremlin fails his defense, and then my Timberwolf just rolls nothing. A little unfortunate there, but that's just kind of how it works sometimes. This gremlin's going to roll 4 dice against Tigu. He shouldn't kill the Tigu here. But he's going to get that 4 damage through him, leaving me with 1 left. And that Tigu is pretty much dead. And I wouldn't waste a heal on this again, just because those 2 Corrodes are a big deal. Fixed all that, and now we're just in planning phase. So basically what I'm thinking right now is I have my Vine Snapper. Can I focus anything down to start killing it? And the whole time this Wizard's Tower is just going to be like throwing stuff at me. And if you notice, July hasn't focused on my mate at all. And that's because there's no point to, since I can transfer that damage. And if he manages to kill my creatures, it's pretty much game in that sense. So we're planning. And let's go ahead and see if I can find this. And so basically what I'm thinking right now is, do I want to focus on this area, or do I want to focus on this area? Both of these boards or the board is like really against me here. And I think, and so the big thing is I have 17 mana. Do I want to get another Orchid over here, another Vine Snapper? Should I try to, still control the zone? These gremlins, they have to hit me in melee, so if I can still secure the zone, that's really good for me. And it looks like we're moving on to deployment here. And I think I do another Vine Snapper. And Vine Snappers are great because they can absorb a ton of damage, and they're really cheap, and they deal a lot of damage too. And the fact that they can't move isn't necessarily the biggest deal, because you have the Vine Tree that can cast from so far away. It like sort of adds a lot of effect. It looks like July's just going to use a quick cast and just Arcane Zap the Tigu. He gets 5 critical off of 3 damage. 3 dice. Gotta love that Arcane Zap. You only need 1 anyway, so the Tigu is dead. I really did expect that, especially since it was his initiative. It was a smart move. That's another reason why I didn't want to plan a heal. And July knew he had that. And I guess we're going to start seeing these gremlins just try to focus down the Timberwolf first. The fact that it uses action allows me now to Surging Wave it and not worry about that Surging Wave turning into unused. And since Surging Wave is unavoidable, the trick is that you unavoidable slam them after they've used their action so that all the other creatures don't have to worry about the defense at all. And then you can stack that damage up and hopefully take it out. Surging Wave rolls an unfortunate 2 damage, but it does get... Oh, okay, I never rolled. Oops. Let's see, what does it do here? I think it slams, if I remember correctly. It is going to slam, but it rolls an unfortunate 0 damage because of the 1 armor. And, I guess I was kind of relying a little damage, but it's not a big deal. But it does get the push, so an extra 3 dice is always nice. Let's see if it actually does anything, though. It gets 4 damage. That's actually really good. 4 crit, to be exact. Little wall push. And then I think what I'm thinking is maybe my Timberwolf can take it out so I can get more dice against something else. So I roll 2 dice. And I get 2 damage. Doesn't kill it, but, it's something. And so I'll definitely be able to kill that gremlin now. And I think this is exactly what I needed to do earlier in the game. And the big question is, how would I have dealt with the Gorgon Archer if that was the case? I do have a Wand of Healing, so maybe I could have just manually healed the weeks. Because, you rarely get the 2 weeks, and if you just 1-for-1 it, it's actually not that bad. Or maybe I should have put it to sleep, or put something to sleep. I don't know. The problem I have with putting things to sleep against a wizard is Arcane Zap is so easy just to wake things up. It looks like the Gargoyle is going to move over and guard. That is concerning, because now I can't kill that gremlin. And I think what I needed is some sort of area effect spell. Hail of Stones is not a bad choice. Circle of Fire isn't bad. At the same time, it's like it wouldn't necessarily have killed everyone here. So maybe like a... And like I don't even want to say like a damage barrier is good. Because nothing's really guarding or attacking my wizard. I don't know, there's a lot of interesting choices here. But I'm definitely feeling like this Gargoyle moving over is causing me to feel like this board is dying. And he has 7 damage against this Vine Snapper, so he can probably kill it. I'm going to attack this Gargoyle. I don't necessarily know if I agree with attacking the Gargoyle. I probably should Mage Punch it. Just because the counterattack could actually kill him. And I also think what I was afraid of is a 3 dice attack just like annihilating my Vine Snapper and then losing 5 dice out of it. Which I rolled 5 critical against the Gargoyle. That's actually really good. Gargoyles, think about them as they don't die. It's very rare for them to die. And give me 1 second, guys. Let's continue this game here. So the counterattack happens from the gargoyle, and it deals 5 damage, which is enough, of course, to kill it. And I don't know if this was a good move or not, because if I would have lost that 5 damage to just a gargoyle punching it or something with like a melee +1, then I would have been very disappointed. But this way, at least I got 5 damage through. But regardless, the Vine Snapper died. It's a little unfortunate. And this gremlin's going to proceed to just try to kill this Timberwolf. It has piercing 1. Timberwolf has 2 armor. So, it's probably going to get, 2 damage through. Unless it rolls 4 damage, of course, which then it's 3 dice. So it's going to inflict another 3 damage. Not bad, not bad. And here's the other gremlin going in. Yeah, I really felt like this game was like a high roller game. Like everyone was at their top dice, except for that gremlin. It only needed 1 damage and got the 1 damage. The Timberwolf just dies. I don't know if I should have spent mana to purify it to get extra dice through or not. Because basically I would have purified it and would have gotten the extra dice, and that gremlin probably would be dead. That being said, I have my Druid's action. I think the best move would have been just to punch that gremlin. I think that's what I ended up doing. Is that what I ended up doing? I think I'm really considering what I want to do here. The anticipation. Yeah, so it looks like what I end up doing is I end up just moving to the right, and then I rouse the beast in the Vine Snapper, and then I'm going to attack the gremlin with the Vine Snapper. And, because I started with a Timberwolf and another Vine Snapper, and now they're both gone, so this board over here looks awful. And what I'm thinking about doing is just kind of moving to the right, and I'm thinking of retreating, to be honest. And July's Wizard's just going to armor up a little bit. And then he's going to use his Bimshaw to heal more. And this is exactly why July's build is very good. The Bimshaw, since it's sort of a catch-all card, it's a solid card to put in really any book. Combo that with the ability to have extra mana generator from your Gate of Voltari, it's solid. The opening is a little bit sketchy because it costs a lot of mana, but yeah, this is a really good book. So the Vine Snapper ends up killing the blue gremlin, and we're gonna look like we're in the next round then. All right, let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. And so basically what I'm thinking right now is I can't kill this gargoyle unless I do some serious damage to it. And, doing things like acid balls is not super effective because they can just guard, unguard, and then a lot of corrodes fall off. Killing these other Gremlins isn't actually a bad option. And I don't know what he has in this gate, but he has 10 mana, and that's kind of scary. So let's go ahead and keep skipping. Skip, skip, skip. And we'll go back a little bit. Alright, so we're in deployment. And I just kind of spread my vines up a little bit more. And I don't think... Does Juli actually cast anything? Yes. This is the point that I was not expecting at all. He casts another Gorgon Archer. And at this point, I really have nothing to deal with it. I just brought out a bunch of armor from this round because I was hoping just to survive and punch some things. But really at this point, I don't think me fighting here is going to be advantageous with a Wizard's Tower and a Gorgon Archer, just sort of, you know, hailing a bunch of stuff. If this were a casual game, I might have considered conceding right here. But that being said, in a tournament game, I still have 3 level 3 creatures, a Timberwolf, and then a Darkfiend Asp as well. So the game isn't really over. I'm going to attempt to Cavendish Maw this Bimshaw, because if I get lucky, I'll feel good about it. I roll 1 damage out of 5 dice. A little unfortunate there, but you know, I was thinking that if I could take this out, I could just sort of retreat, build up, and then move back. I wasn't sure how many creatures Juli had left, but it ends up being quite a bit. Regardless, I still feel like I can bring out an army and do some stuff. I also still have 2 Corrosive Orchids and a Nightshade Lotus, so that can add up. Looks like our Hurl Rock is getting cast onto the Vine Snapper. He wants to focus this down, and I don't blame him. He deals 5 damage to it. He's not going to survive the assault here. And Gargoyle's going to attack him, and this is basically just a beatdown on the Vine Snapper. And there's not really much I can do. Like, even if I guard with my Druid, he would still statistically just get past the guard with 1 guy and then deal 6 dice on a 5 life remaining creature. And the Vine Snapper does die there. And right now I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to make it out of this? And the Wizard moving up surprised me a lot. Because basically I was thinking, I'm hindered, and now I'm not hindered. And me going against all these creatures, and the Wizard's Tower is not really going to be effective for me. So I just sort of boogie it out of there. Because I would definitely die here. But if I can get creatures out, maybe I can have some sort of front where I can survive more. That's kind of my thinking. I don't know if it was good or bad, but that's what I was thinking. Gremlin's going to kill this vine here, killing my garden. And I think that's the end of the round there. Go ahead and move forward. And Juli ends up enchanting his Regrowth, which with an Arcane Ward, which if you want enchantments to survive, Arcane Ward is an amazing spell for that. You know, if you're spending 2 spellbook points or more, consider an Arcane Ward because your opponent's, you know, probably doesn't have a decoy to counter it, and they don't want their Dispel to get countered by your Arcane Ward. You know, they won't lose mana, but they'll lose the card, which is a big deal. Either decoys or your own Arcane Wards, probably Arcane Wards is a better choice, is a really good thing that I think a lot of players are going to start putting in their books, just because how important enchantments are. And of course, the only other way to really get around that is to do something like Purge Magic, which doesn't target the Arcane Ward, but it targets the Mage. So therefore, Arcane Ward just gets destroyed with it. So we're moving on to the next upkeep, and I think this game is pretty much over at this point, to be honest. Even though I've taken 0 damage, I have nothing on my board, and he has a very strong board presence. If you just add up the amount of mana on the board, you can kind of see that. But regardless, this is a tournament game, so I really want to try and sort of live until the end. He brings out a fourth gremlin. So that's all the gremlins you can get. Solid choice there. Gremlins can be terrifying, especially in numbers. And I start building up my army here. Basically, I have 17 mana. If I can get these creatures out, and then if I can get a wand out, maybe I can deal enough burst damage to things that I can survive. Of course, he already has all the creatures out. So he's going to have a major mana advantage. Not to mention he also has teleport in school and stuff like that, so he can just sort of death pit me if he wants to. Gyro's going to move over and attack this vine here. And I don't want to get hit by this Wizard Tower, so I want to act immediately. And I think I just start armoring up even more. I reveal a Bark Skin last round, but I chose not to pay the upkeep. Mainly because the 2 mana is probably actually going to be useful to me. So it's kind of a little mistake there, revealing the Bark Skin. I probably shouldn't have done that. And he just starts clearing out house here. Let's just... I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, I hope you guys don't mind. His Gorgon's going to advance, everything's advancing here. And this is a pretty safe way to sort of block this guy off. Since the Wizard's Tower covers both these zones with range 2 attack spells, this is my only safe zone here, and that is not a good place to be at. He starts enchanting everything and healing everything. The Gargoyle Sentry getting healed. This is exactly what you want to do when you're recovering and you want to keep a lead. You want to make sure everything is still getting buffed and your power is still above that of your opponents. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. Upkeep. Yeah, so basically, it's a pretty simple plan here. I'm just going to get a lot of armor and then a lot of creatures, and then just try to do a finale charge here. Whether or not it plays out that way is the question. And I have a lot of deliberation on what I need to plan. And so basically, during deployment, I cast another Raptor Vine, and then July brought out another Gargoyle Sentry. Very smart move from July. And at this point, I'm just like, oh, he still has so many creatures, and I just can't keep up with this. And I think this is just mainly just like an advancing round. Let's see here. I believe I bring out... Yeah, his gargoyles are all just... his gremlins and gargoyles are just advancing. They're killing all the vines. He's just doing a slow and steady just takeover. This is a really smart move by July. You don't want to just like go in there and teleport stuff immediately. It's not smart. His wizard is going to keep advancing. He casts Leather Boots. This is a really safe play. And I believe I get a Timberwolf out, if I remember right. And notice how I guarded here. I believe he... Does he do something? Nope. His Gorgon Archer is going to advance. And yeah, so this is me trying to sort of amass an army here. I guess Wall of Thorns here would have been good, because then he wouldn't have had any line of sight to me. But not doing that left me kind of open. Of course, I might have wanted line of sight to him too. So everything's advancing. I'm not sure if there's really much to really observe here. He casts a Seeking Dispel on, I think it's my Bear Strength. Yeah, it's my Bear Strength, which is, unfortunate. I have more, so I don't really... Oh no, it's my Rhino Hide. A little unfortunate there. Basically if I can armor up a lot, I'm hoping to survive that, but, it's all good regardless. And let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more. Yep. Go ahead and skip a little bit more. Sorry, I'm just trying to just kind of highlight this stuff because I don't think a lot of interesting stuff, at least to me anyway, happens now. It's just sort of like a, how is July going to finish this out? I do have a lot of creatures here. but I feel like the fact that he keeps bringing out creatures is creating problems for me. And I think, I had a small chance, but it wasn't really that good. Let's go ahead. So, moving on, during deployment phase, I cast a Orchid in this zone, and this is definitely telegraphing that I'm planning on some sort of like telepit strategy. Basically, if I can take out his gremlins and stuff, I'll feel really happy. This Gorgon is a lot of pressure. I feel like this Gorgon here is not going to be fun for me, because all he has to do is just force push or teleport me, and that Gorgon's in range, and the Wizard Tower's in range, and you can just sort of focus stuff down. Whereas I have to get everything, I have to basically teleport him, and then all my creatures are in range, assuming they don't teleport out. And me being only at 8 mana, I don't have a lot of mana to work with to counter any of his strategies. Juli's at 15 though, which is a good amount to counter mine. And let's see what he do here. And yeah, I don't want to teleport the enemy mage, because basically he has 2 enchantments that I can't see on him, and if one of those is a nullify, I just wasted 6 mana. We only have 8. It's not a fun situation. So I test for the nullify. It is a nullify, and I'm going to proceed to, I think I teleport him, which this move was not a good move. Basically, I teleport him here, but I wasted all my actions, and he still has his action, and I think it just leaves, which I have 0 mana to uproot my guys. Like, I think at this point I'm just playing really sloppy, and honestly, I don't think I get into this position very much, and I think I really need to work on this idea here. My corrode does decent. It gets a corrode and a damage. It's not bad. But he has so many actions to work with, and I have basically 3. And he has, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically he has 5 more actions than I do, it adds up. Let me go ahead and just skip a little here. So his wizard basically moves up. He casts a Mage Wand, and it's a teleport wand, if I remember right, which is exactly what he needs to just sort of peeling off sections of my army and just taking them out one by one. I think it was a really smart choice to get that. And there's the teleport. He's going to pay 6 mana on my Guarding Raptor Vine. I don't blame him for that either. I honestly think I just played badly after that point where I retreated. And I think it's something I need to work on with this druid. So the Gorgon Archer is not going to attack. Interesting. I'm pretty sure what happens here is there's just a beatdown. Yep, the Gremlin moves into attack because he wants to dodge my counterattack, which makes a lot of sense. The Gremlin rolls 3 dice and gets 4 damage. Pretty good. About average. And so I do the counterattack, and let's see, does he dodge it? I don't actually remember. He doesn't dodge it. So I deal 5 dice back, and I get 3. One of those getting negative armor, so I deal 2, so I heal 1 through vampirism. It happens. And I think at this point he just kind of focuses it down. Let's see here, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. Yep, the gargoyle attempted to attack. And the other gremlin's going to attack now. And this is a solid move by Juli. Just sort of peeling off armies and then getting attacked. Because there's no point in fighting these guys. You don't have to. There's no 3 going on there. And the Wizard's Tower is going to hit. It's a Hurl Rock. The Hurl Rock will get it. It rolls 5 damage, and there goes my Raptor. And my army's just sort of sitting here because I can't move one guy, and I don't want to move the Timberwolf up because they'll probably get weaked. There's a lot of bad things going on for me here. I choose to move the Timberwolf up because I want to get the dice through, but alas, doesn't really help. Timberwolf gets 3 damage though. It's not bad. And then the Gorgon's going to attack. Let's see if we can get this. Yeah, so the Gorgon attacks and it deals 4 damage. Yeah, it rolls 3 and 3. Gets 4 on the Timberwolf. I believe it's the end of the round. So basically, this is just me just waiting to die, to be honest. Move on to deployment. Juli cast a, what is this, an ooze? A jelly? Corrosive jelly? That's it. And it's just sort of like, alright, he has another giant creature that I can't deal with. Corrosive ooze is, of course, really good. Corrosive jelly? I think it's corrosive jelly. I have to get rid of his teleport wand because I'm literally just going to get teleported to death. And at this point, I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to win this. The wizard decides to move in because I force push him, so I force him to move. And then I attack him a lot. I mean, this is like, you can see this kind of downward spiral here. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit because, you know, Gorgon Archer, choose attack. Oh, no, I'm sorry, an acid ball from this attacked. Got 2 corrode on the Timberwolf. He's just going to kill my Timberwolf right now. And again, in non-tournament games, I think I would just have conceded a little while ago. But what are you going to do? And so stuff is killing stuff. I cast a Tanglevine with my Vine Tree on this guy, on the Gorgon Archer. I don't think it really mattered, to be honest. It's probably a waste of mana. Let's see here. So we choose to retreat a little bit to kill this Tanglevine. And this Gremlin goes in. Rolling 3 dice, gets 2 damage. Pretty good. He's going to kill this Timberwolf, and I think there's not much. Yeah, so basically he kills it again with, I think it's like a, yeah, Blue Gremlin inflicted 5 damage. Yeah, he killed it with a wizard, a zap. And then he also takes out the Tanglevine with another Blue Gremlin, and the Gorgon advances. And it's just sort of like one of those things where I'm like, I don't think this is going to win at all. And I'm pretty sure, let's see, it's upkeep. Do I even bother with this? There's a lot of planning here, a lot of thoughts. And then it becomes first quick guess, and I'm pretty sure I just concede out. Like, I don't see how I'm going to win this with the amount of armor, voltaic shield, stuff like that he has. And I have a lot of considerations here, and none of them are good. Devouring Jelly is gonna glomp over. Ah, yeah, I think this is the moment. He casts Chitin Armor, which means my Acid Ball is going to be that much less effective. So basically I go, well, -3 to my Acid Ball. Let's just see if I get lucky. And this is this luck shot here that I'm hoping for the best on. You know, there's been some pretty high rolls throughout this game. And let's see how I do. Yeah, I roll a 4. So I think I get 1 corrode, and the normal damage gets absorbed, of course. Yeah, I get 1 corrode, and I'm just kind of looking at that like, well, let's just punch him. And I think this is because I have so few options. I don't really see the point in actually playing this game anymore, because I'm pretty sure he just won. And then I roll 5 dice, and I get two critical, which of course Voltaic Shield's going to absorb the whole thing. And at this point, I'm just so demoralized. I'm just like, you know what? We're good. and I can see it out. It was a good game. And so that's a really interesting League game that I think really opened my eyes up to some things I need to think about with the Druid. I'm thinking about putting in either an area attack spell or some sort of damage barrier. I think that would help me sort of just play it out better and not be afraid of certain guards and stuff like that. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining me, and please leave some comments on your thoughts. I thought that was actually a really interesting game in showing and how strong the Gorgon Archer can be, and how if you look at your books, see how you can deal with the Gorgon Archer. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Take care.